This residence now belongs to me. And if you have any objections, I'll opt for a divorce. Despite my father's recent passing, Kevin gleefully declared his achievement in changing the property deed to his name. The news left me feeling lightheaded. Surely, it couldn't be that simple to transfer ownership. I wondered if Kevin was misunderstanding something. "I'm fine with a divorce. Won't you regret it?" I suggested, surprising Kevin with my immediate agreement. His puzzled response came in the form of a retort, "You kidding me?" His expression seemed to ask if I had lost my mind. I see. He won't regret it, I thought, deciding to hold back. I warned him not to come crying to me later, secretly amused at Kevin's naive thinking. My name is Rachel Anderson, a 35-year-old civil servant with a sincere personality. When I secured the civil service position, my parents were thrilled, especially my father, who always emphasized the importance of a stable job. His cautionary tale stemmed from his own experience. After joining a startup post-college, it went bankrupt in just 2 years. Struggling to find another job, my father ventured into entrepreneurship by managing a restaurant. Despite initial challenges, he successfully grew his business, accumulating assets worth several $1,000,000 over 35 years. However, this wealth came with its share of hardships, including stress, relationship troubles, and instances of embezzlement by employees. Despite the challenges, my father hoped I would lead a comfortable life without facing the same hardships. I'm content with my civil service job, finding satisfaction in a stable and suitable career that allows me to lead a decent life without any hitches. I'd always believed that a quiet life like ours was ideal. I'm going to be late tomorrow night, so don't worry about dinner for me. Kevin, my husband, has said that countless times. As I dried my hands after doing the dishes, I turned to him and asked, "Is there really that much overtime at the factory?" "It's the busy season, so we're swamped," he explained. Kevin works on the production line in a semiconductor factory, a job he started right after high school, and it's been 18 years now. Every day, he processes components on the assembly line for 8 hours. Tough work that I couldn't imagine, though Kevin insists it's easier than a mentally demanding job. "I've heard there's a shortage of labor lately. Must be tough," I commented. "Yeah, so I might be coming home late for a while," he replied. "All right, take care, okay." Lately, Kevin's late returns have become more frequent, sometimes extending into the next day. I suspect it's not just work-related, and he's probably enjoying a drink somewhere after hours. While I understand the need to unwind, it feels like he's doing it quite often. Despite my concerns, I hesitate to confront him about it. Considering his demanding job, I fear that asking him to cut down on drinking might lead to an argument. Luckily, Kevin covers the expenses for these drinks from his pocket money, making it a minor issue. As he disappeared into the bedroom, I stretched my shoulders. Lately, I've noticed tension building up, leading to physical discomfort. Our lives seem to be heading in different directions, and the mental stress might be taking a toll on me physically. I remind myself not to overthink it too much. I first met Kevin during my junior year of high school. He attended a nearby school and approached me during a school event. Despite my initial hesitation about this younger guy asking for my number, Kevin's persistence eventually led me to give in. Known for my seriousness, I asked him why he approached me so much. Embarrassingly, he confessed to liking my appearance and vibe. I initially considered Kevin a bit of a playboy, and my skepticism was high. However, I soon discovered his unexpected loyalty, and my feelings for him grew stronger. Even after high school, Kevin working, and me attending college and starting my career, he remained my partner. We got married when I was 27, but unfortunately, we haven't been blessed with children since then. While I believe it might be too late for that now, I find solace in our life as a couple. One day, I received a call from my mother while at work. "Hello, Rachel. Are you at work right now?" she asked. "Yeah, what's up?" I responded, sensing urgency. She delivered shocking news. My dad had fallen ill. After tests, they diagnosed him with colon cancer. I couldn't believe it. No one in our family had ever faced cancer. Given my father's busy life as a businessman, he likely neglected regular health checkups, and it seemed he had become sick without realizing it. They said it's progressed quite a bit, my mother informed me. No way. But isn't cancer treatable these days? I desperately tried to grasp the reality. Well, from what they're saying about Dad's condition, he might only have a few months left, she revealed. A few months? That can't be. I wanted to believe it was all a misunderstanding, but the harsh truth remained. My father, at 60, relatively young, might have overlooked the symptoms, leading to a late discovery of advanced cancer, a challenging condition even with advancements in medicine. My mother, her voice trembling with tears, explained the situation to me. I get it. I'm going to head back home for a bit. I'll let Kevin know too. Thank you, Rachel. My father has always been very important to me. There's no question I have to be there for him in this crisis. Kevin would surely understand. That day, as I returned home from work, feeling disoriented, I found Kevin surprisingly home early. Seeing my distraught face, he called out, "What's wrong? Why the long face?" Kevin was sipping a beer on the sofa. I told him exactly what I had heard from my mother and asked if it was okay for me to go back to my parents' house for a while. That's rough. Okay, I get it. Stay with your father. Thanks. I won't be able to make dinner for a while. That's fine. Don't worry. I've been coming home late from work lately anyway. I'll grab something outside. Okay, but you gotta make sure to eat something nutritious now and then. I know. Kevin listened more calmly than I had expected. The next day, as I started preparing for my trip home, relieved that Kevin understood, I overheard him talking on the phone when bedtime came. It seems he's not going to make it much longer. You remember what we talked about before. Can we sort that out somehow? Not much longer. Is he talking about my father? Yeah, oh, I see. Got it. Please do. I wasn't sure who he was talking to or what he was discussing, but I could tell it involved my father. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help stopping in my tracks. How could Kevin talk like that? I had never heard him speak ill of my father. While they weren't best friends, I never thought Kevin would be so cold-hearted as to not worry when my father was in danger, especially in the advanced stages of cancer. Did Kevin not care about my father at all? He's still alive, talking about my father's situation with a complete stranger. That's just wrong. It was the first time I ever felt suspicious of Kevin. Even after that incident, my doubts about him never faded. While Kevin cheerfully bid me goodbye when I headed to my parents' home, I couldn't shake off what I had heard him discussing over the phone. Something about Kevin felt off, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. My suspicions centered around the only thing involving my father that came to mind: money. I hadn't disclosed the extent of my father's assets to Kevin, as I always thought discussing money might lead to troubles. It was something we could address when and if inheritance became an issue, but now wasn't the time. While I hadn't intentionally hidden it, I never felt the need to bring it up. But what if Kevin knew about my father's assets? What if he was after that money? No, I had to stop overthinking. Pushing away those negative thoughts, I focused on taking care of my father and enjoyed our small talks. When my father eventually passed away 3 months later, the departure was sudden, catching both my mother and me off guard. During the funeral, I was spaced out, unable to come to terms with the reality. On the other hand, Kevin seemed lively, raising my suspicions even more. About a week after the funeral, my heart finally settled down. I was drinking alone in the living room when Kevin walked in, casually remarking, "Glad that hassle is over." He crossed his arms behind his head and looked at me coldly. Hassle. Yeah, I was hoping my father-in-law would kick the bucket sooner. But when he did, all this funeral stuff was a real pain. I was taken aback. Hey, you can't talk like that. A person died, and that person was my dad. How can you say something like that? I knew it. Kevin had been hoping for my father's early passing, confirming my suspicions. I recalled Kevin talking about my father on the phone before and wondered about his motives. It all became clear when he nonchalantly asked, "So when do we get the inheritance?" "I heard that your family is super rich and there's a lot of inheritance, right?" I was shocked to realize that Kevin's intention all along was to lay claim to my father's assets. I had never discussed my family's finances with him, but it seemed he noticed that my dad had considerable assets. "You look surprised." Of course I knew. My family was always dirt poor. It was a struggle just to get 3 meals a day. Compared to that, your family seemed well off, and your parents traveled often. "That alone made it clear to me that you folks were loaded," Kevin explained, disgust evident in his tone. He went on to reveal that he had discussed it in advance with someone, referencing a friend who was a paralegal. Kevin casually mentioned, "I asked him about your dad's inheritance. We're definitely getting a good chunk of it." The fact that he discussed my father's inheritance with a stranger, especially while my father was still alive, was unbelievable. I began to doubt whether the man standing before me was really my husband. "He'll get back to me soon, so look forward to it," Kevin said before heading back to the bedroom. I was dumbfounded by his outrageous actions. Who goes around investigating their wife's family's inheritance without telling them? The inheritance was a matter concerning my family, and Kevin had no business interfering. Distrustful of Kevin's actions and words, I found myself unable to speak to him. We lived in a cold, war-like silence for a while, but things took a sudden turn a month later. Despite Kevin's meddling, my father's assets were rightfully passed down to my mother and me. I inherited a $2 million mansion, and as I agonized over what to do with it, Kevin broke the silence. "Hey, Rachel, how have you been?" he asked. Ignoring his comment, I picked up a nearby book. "Don't ignore me. I had the deed to the property you inherited changed to my name," he grinned. Shocked by what I heard, I looked up from the book. "What are you talking about?" "I had it sorted with that paralegal guy I mentioned before." "You mean the registrations changed?" "Yeah, that's right." I couldn't believe it. It was outrageous that he'd done such a thing without telling me, and the guy who agreed to help him was out of line. The house is mine now. If you have any complaints, let's just divorce. Despite my father's recent passing, Kevin shamelessly boasted about changing the deed of the house to his name, leaving me feeling disoriented. It couldn't be that easy to alter the registration, I thought. Kevin might have misunderstood something. Torn about whether to confront him immediately, my anger toward him made forgiveness a difficult choice. Instead of addressing it right away, I decided to devise a plan to get back at him. "Well, I'm fine with a divorce. Won't you regret it?" I suggested, catching Kevin off guard. In a bewildered voice, he responded, "You kidding me?" His look seemed to ask if I had lost my mind. "No regrets," I calmly affirmed. "If that's the case, I won't hold back. Just know I won't be there for him when he comes crying later." Inside, I smirked at Kevin's naive thinking. After that, I initiated an investigation into every aspect of Kevin's life. Taking paid time off, I thoroughly searched his messy room while he was at work. Among the scattered items, I discreetly pocketed a particular item and then went on to explore his computer's messaging app. The conversations, particularly with someone named John Miller, revealed shady dealings primarily focused on money. It was pitiable to see Kevin getting manipulated by such a person. Finishing my investigation and realizing the kind of person I had been living with, chills ran down my spine. With my feelings for Kevin completely cooled, I decided to proceed with our divorce. Since he had brought up the idea, it was easy to initiate the process. I contacted a lawyer to assist with the documentation, and soon Kevin and I were officially in the divorce process. The unexpected end to our marriage was a consequence of Kevin's disrespect towards my father. The love I once had for him was gone, and the person I thought I knew had turned out to be quite different. As my investigations revealed, he was a real piece of work. The house I once shared with Kevin was no longer mine. Originally under Kevin's name with a mortgage, I felt it was right to leave. However, Kevin never returned home after that day. He likely moved into the mansion I inherited. Wondering about his current life, I calmly contemplated Kevin's situation. Days later, Kevin unexpectedly appeared before me, anxious and questioning whether we had proceeded with the divorce. I confirmed it, and he raised his voice in despair, accusing me of selfishness. Facing his blame, I explained that he was the one who initiated the divorce. Kevin, seemingly cornered, pleaded for us to get back together. I asked what had happened, pretending ignorance. Kevin revealed that debt collectors came after him, and the paralegal Miller deceived him. I already had an idea of Kevin's troubles but played dumb. Unbeknownst to him, I had discovered his gambling activities and secret financial struggles. Expressing concern, I confronted him about his gambling habit. Kevin, always careless with money, had been using our savings and got scammed by Miller, the so-called paralegal. Kevin admitted to the deception but pleaded for help, claiming bankruptcy was imminent. Seeing him in this pathetic state left me bewildered. Despite his past disrespect towards my father, I couldn't view him as an ex-partner anymore. I sternly told him I'd never forgive him, and fear appeared in Kevin's eyes. Moving to the mansion inherited from my father, I left Kevin in the house with a mortgage, wishing him luck. A week later, Kevin's mother called, apologizing for his actions. She expressed her anger and promised to give him a hard time, ensuring he learned the value of money. I smirked, feeling no sympathy for Kevin. His punishment was a consequence of disrespecting my father and attempting to deceive me. As I settled into my new mansion, furnished and spacious, I looked forward to a free and exciting life. Grateful for my father's legacy, I embarked on a new journey, leaving behind the troubles of my past marriage with Kevin.